Hi, you guys. Okay, Bridgerton, Season 1, Episode 3. Okay, and the opening begins with Daphne having wet dreams about the Duke. Lady Bridgerton writes, Daphne turned down 3 proposals this week. People think that she's playing it safe, but I think differently. She's waiting on the Duke. I'm with you too, Lady Whistledown. Daphne and the Duke are out on a little date, look like an ice cream shop. And Daphne tells the Duke, our plan is working. We must keep this up so I can find a husband. And the Duke said, in the grand battle of the season, I'm your trusted, handsome general. And that made Daphne smile and blush. And she said, we could only hope for a better soldier. And this makes the Duke blush. And we'll see they're enjoying each other. And they're all becoming friends slowly but surely. Over at the Feathertons, cousin Marina is frustrated because she hasn't received her letter from her baby in Spain. Her boo thing, her baby daddy. Penelope tells her to be patient. You know, Sir George is on the front line. You don't know if he couldn't get the letters out. Anything could be happening. He could be on his way to come get you. And here comes Lady Featherton. She busts in the room. Penelope Featherton, what did I tell you about cavorting with the expected? Go, get out. Lady Featherton actually came in to tell Marina that she will re-enter society and find her a husband. And Marina's like, I don't want a husband. And Lady Featherton tells her, your wants is no longer a concern. You shall do this ASAP. Across the square at the Bridgertons, the family is discussing Daphne's suitors, and Lady Bridgerton asked about the Duke. Daphne said, look, the Duke hasn't proposed yet, so she's still considering her options, why wait for one man? Lady Bridgerton tells Daphne, look, you're making this too difficult. It's simple. Just marry your best friend. Well, it's not that quite simple for Daphne because her best friend doesn't want to get married. Next up, we're going to a ball. Which ball? I do not know because Bridgerton makes you search for things because they just do not tell you. Daphne and the Duke are still playing their game that, they're courting, but they're not courting really. And suitors are lined up to dance with Daphne. One suitor asks, Miss Bridgerton, may I have this dance? And the Duke, he put a little spice on it. He claimed he was just acting, but he said, Miss Bridgerton, must I share you with everyone? Daphne went out on the dance floor and she danced with a few guys and she actually got to converse with some, but none of them could take her attention away from the Duke. Lady Dowdry tells Lady Bridgerton the Duke and Daphne is a love match. And Lady Bridgerton said, nevertheless, you must remind him he has to actually propose. Lady Dowdry said, I wouldn't worry about that. They're clearly attached. Daphne and the Duke are now chopping it up about the party guests, and they're kind of like the couple in a corner that's just going to laugh and enjoy each other. It can be 1,000 people in the room, but they are just a kiki with themselves, and they are mocking the guests. The Duke is telling Daphne what the guys are saying, and Daphne is telling the Duke what the girls are saying. The Queen has arrived, and she has a royal guest, Prince Friedrich. The prince makes his way over to Daphne and he says, so lovely to meet you. Your gown is exquisite. And Daphne laughed and snorted. She did so because just a few minutes, her and the Duke, they had an inside joke about the party guests and what they were saying, and the prince said exactly what the Duke said he would say. Daphne said, my apologies. And the prince said, no need. The Queen said, well, maybe a little. After they walked off, Daphne went over to the Duke and was like, why did you make me laugh? The Duke said, I didn't know that you would make that ridiculous sound while laughing. Daphne laughs and snorts again, and this makes both of them laughing. And they are just really enjoying each other. They are becoming best friends. Down at the dress boutique, Sienna creeps in from the back door, startling Madame Delacroix. I hope that's how you say her name. I am terrible with names. Forgive me. She said, "You scared me." And Sienna said, "I'm sorry, girl, but you told me to come in through the back door, and I didn't want your customers to see that you mess with this notorious opera singer." Madame Delacour said, "No, girl, you good. You're welcome here anytime, and you stay as long as you need." Sienna said, "It won't be long this time. I just have to find another wealthy guy." Madame Delacour said, "Somebody better than that last ass, but we're not going to discuss him. We're different from those other women and the things they fret about. You and I, we make our own way in this world." Sienna said, "And that we do. That's why I'm going to find a wealthy, sensible man that will spoil me and keep his word. He won't run every time his sister or his mother call. He'll be available for me." Madame Delacour said, "Yeah, girl, that's all good, but where you going to find him?" Next up, we have all the townsmen, and they are down at the casino. Lord Featherton seems to be losing his money in a dice game, talking about he's inclined to investigate the dice. The Duke was there and he said, "No, the common element is you. Maybe you should show some restraint." And Anthony chimed in and he said, "No, he can't, nor can he gamble." And everyone laughed it off. And then the Duke says to Anthony, "Oh, you're talking to me again. Yeah, you know I'm crazy and all the things that I have done, but you should know, out of all people, that my intentions with your sister is good." Anthony knows that the Duke is a respectful guy, but he's looking out for his sister, and especially if he's supposed to be the head of the house. So he's looking out for his sister's best interests. And Anthony asks the Duke, "If you haven't changed your mind about getting married, what are your intentions?" The Duke said, "Respectful. And let's leave it at that." In comes a flock of women, one of them being Sienna. Anthony peeped her as she was coming in the door, and he excused himself from the table, leaving the Duke alone. And Sienna comes over, and she starts flirting with the Duke. And Anthony is watching from afar. So in my head, I'm thinking Anthony set this up. Sienna invites the Duke to her performance tomorrow night. Daphne couldn't sleep, so she goes downstairs to get some warm milk where she meets up with Anthony. Either one of them knew how to cut the stove on, so now they are drinking cold milk. And Daphne asks Anthony, why doesn't the Duke want to get married? And Anthony like, "Oh gosh, here we go again." I can understand where the frustration comes in for Anthony because, first of all, this is his best friend and that's his sister. And then secondly, he wants the best for his sister. He's supposed to be, like I say, he's supposed to be stepping up, being a man of the house. But just because you're the man in the house does not mean you know what's good for your sister, for Daphne. She has her own mind, her own life. But we're speaking of a different time when men thought that this was their job, to tell us who to love and who to have children with. Mind your business, Anthony. Anthony says, "Oh, come on, Dad. First off, what I know is nothing for your ears to hear." And he says, "Simply put, the Duke grew up very different from us. He barely knew his father. He never met his mother. No siblings. In 20 years of me knowing him, I never heard him speak of his family. Not once. Spent a lot of time alone, and he prefers it that way. But you need not to worry yourself with that. Some things just aren't meant to be, even if we think otherwise." Lady Whistledown writes, "I hope that today's art gallery inspires more newsworthy pursuits. A new wing at Somerset's house is to open today. Several attractions will be on display, like the lovely Miss Marina Thompson, who has recovered from her mysterious illness. Madame Delacroix, no, that ain't no goddamn cake." She continues, "We have a royal attraction today. Prince Friedrich of Prussia. He came in search of a fine lady. Perhaps that's why a certain tutor was spotted at the Copper's house all week." Now, y'all, at first I couldn't understand that part, so I had to go to Googaloo. Because if anyone doesn't know, this is the Bridgertons is a Julia Quinn book series. And if you're not familiar with the characters, or if you don't know who is who, some things can go over your head or you may miss some things. So I wasn't sure who was the Cowpers. Here's Cressida Cowper, and she is Daphne's nemesis. And then we have Lady Cowper, who's her mama. And she was at Lady Featherton's house in episode 1. And I'm like, no, I have not heard their name. I think the Copper Ball was the first ball, but I wasn't sure who was who. That went over my head. Y'all let me know if I missed it, but they have not said who was Cressida Copper. I figured it out. Thanks, Googaloo. Look at all the ladies and the mamas crowded around the prince, and Cressida is literally stepping on people's toes to get to the prince. Cressida has been putting in work, and she even got a tutor, so she is ready to be princess. Moving on. So at the art gallery, Lady Bridgerton is trying to hook her boys up with some of the debutantes, and they not trying to hear that shit. We see Lady Featherton dragging Cousin Marina down, and Penelope spots it, and she's going to help Marina from her mother, who is trying to hook her up with this creepy old man. Penelope saves the day, and Lady Featherton calls her a militant little wench. And she tells Marina, clearly you don't understand the gravity of your situation, and that needs to change. Prince Friedrich comes over to Daphne. Cressida and her mother over there watching, looking like the prince is being a gentleman, trying to engage in a conversation with Daphne. And Daphne, she spots the Duke. At this point, whatever the prince is saying, it sounds like womp, 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 womp to Daphne. He tells the prince, make your rounds, your highness. I believe you have some thirsty ladies waiting for you. Daphne go running over to the Duke. And she like, oh, hey, Duke. What you doing in here? The Duke said he was just enjoying some culture. They talked about the raving reviews from Lady Whistledown and how they had her food. Daphne turned to the painting that the Duke was looking at, and she said, this painting isn't like the other ones that you donated. The Duke said, nah, the other ones was my father's liking. According to Lady Dowdry, this one right here was my mother's favorite. Daphne said, it is beautiful. It reminds me of the country. First thing in the morning when I haven't spoken to a soul. So peaceful, so serene. This painting is intimate. Daphne put all them spoken words into that painting. It had them holding hands. Now, Daphne always fussing about being left alone. She wasn't worried about that this time. And then holding hands too? There was some commotion going on in the next room, so that caused them to break apart. And they ran out, and Cressida had passed out, and the prince caught her. The Duke whispered to Daphne, the swoon. I believe that's chapter 6. And this causes Daphne to do her laugh. These two are something else. The event is over, and the Duke's chauffeur asks him, are you going to the opera? Because if so, we need to hurry up. And the Duke said, no, I'm going home. I guess that touch from Daphne had him changing his mind, honey. At the theater, security was locking up, and Sienna was surprised that the Duke wasn't in attendance. Lady Whistledown writes, these days, a modern lady must display a few talents: a conversationalist, a musician, and an expert in the art of the swoon. To faint and not have a petticoat out of place is definitely an art. Not all is into the prince. One diamond in particular seems quite immune. It makes me wonder, has the crown lost its luster? The queen done had enough of this Lady Whistledown coming for her discernment and who she give favor to. She tells the prince, the Bridgerton girl is the season incomparable. That means there's no other suitable on this English shore. The prince tells the queen, Miss Bridgerton is delightful indeed. However, if the gossip sheet is correct, someone already have her heart. Honey, the queen said, she doesn't have a ring on her finger. Charm her. Daphne is driving everyone crazy with her piano lessons. And you know she have to have that talent, a musician. Eloise said, enough already. Daphne said, maybe you should join me. You'll need to be proficient in piano forte soon enough. This starts a big disagreement. Eloise tells Daphne, you want to follow your heart. I wish to nurture my mind. Daphne is like, here we go again. Eloise feel like all this Daphne finding a husband commotion. No one cares what Eloise's interests are. I do believe Daphne hears Eloise. However, because Eloise is so strongly about where she wants for her future, that she's not understanding how Daphne feels with all the things that she's going through. Like we see letter H, the sister H, we see that she is Daphne's shadow, and basically she can't wait till she get to do what Daphne is doing. And Eloise don't have anyone to relate to her, to that understands her. The only person that comes close to that is Penelope, and I think that's why they're so close. Daphne says to Eloise, you know what? It doesn't matter. At this point, I think Eloise felt convicted, and she tells Daphne, like, look, if you need to practice, but at least give the song a name. Lady Featherton takes Cousin Marina to the poor side of town to show her her future with a baby without a husband. Cousin Marina said, you must think I'm like your daughters, easily scared. My man loves me, and he knows about the baby. Lady Featherton said, have you heard from him since you told him about the baby? It's all love until you become pregnant. We have come to another day of promenading, and we see Miss Cowper is determined to get the prince. Lady Bridgerton commented on the matter, saying, well, maybe it's a good thing her mother be out our hair. And Lady Dowdry said, maybe not. And walking behind them, the Duke and Daphne, they're enjoying each other's company, and the Duke is telling Daphne about his college days with her brother Anthony. Daphne tells the Duke, my mom said, simply put, that I should marry my best friend. Is it true that marriage is about friendship? The Duke said, more like a battlefield. Daphne said, even with a battlefield, isn't it something that holds two people together? What I mean, is it something physical or intangible that brings a couple together? The Duke said, well, yes, both physical and intangible. Now, Daphne is confused. She said, hold up. How can it be both when they are two opposite things? And that made the Duke laugh. And he said, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just shocked at how little mothers tell their daughters. And look, I can't tell you. That's just improper. Daphne said, yes, it would be improper if we were truly courting, but we're not. So come on, Simon. You said we were friends. Tell me. Simon said, okay, all right. What happens between a man and a wife is a natural continuation of what happens when you're alone at night. When you touch yourself, you do touch yourself, right? And Daphne is getting flustered now. She like, Without her even answering the question, the Duke like, look, when you're alone, it's okay to touch yourself anywhere on your body that would give you pleasure, especially between your legs. Daphne is really flustered right now. She could be beet red. He continues, when you find that feeling and you enjoy it, carry on with that until the feeling grows and eventually you reach a pinnacle, a release, and that should help you. Now, come. Y'all, he was telling her to come on, not come. But hey, it is what it is. That's what happens. On the way home, Lady Dandry asks the Duke about Daphne because she sees that the prince has taken interest in Daphne. She tells the Duke, look, if you have plans on marrying her, do so. Otherwise, do not dally around with her, causing her to lose an extraordinary match. She will be a fool to do so, and I would never forgive you for that. The Duke replied, she's no fool. And Lady said, well, you're cruel, and you know I taught you better than that. Yes, Lady D, tell his ass. Benedict meets up with Eloise for another cigarette session. Eloise tells him that she's seen his sketchbook in the fireplace. And Eloise goes in. It must be so hard wanting something that you can get. Benedict said, oh God, here we go. And Eloise says, I'm saying if you want to sketch. Hire an instructor. The world is yours. Go for it. Because let me tell you something. If I was a boy, I would. Look at Lady Whistledown. She has to live undercover. She's a woman, therefore she has nothing, and yet she still writes. My point is, you're a man and you have everything. You can do whatever you want. So do it. Be bold. At least I can live vicariously through you. Benedict asks, Eloise, are you Lady Whistledown? You can tell me. You know you'll have my full support. And Eloise said, if I was Lady Whistledown, do you think I would tell you? Daphne takes the Duke's advice on exploring one's body and self-pleasure. And we see now she's able to complete her song. Lady Bridgerton said, you finished. How lovely. Eloise said, now all you have to do is give it a name. Yeah, the name is Duke. Okay, next, Daphne meets up with the Duke. And because of what Lady Dowdry told the Duke feels as though he has to cut things off with Daphne. And he tells her, we will no longer promenade. Balls, everything stops. Everyone is right about me. Your brother is right. I'm a rake. And the prince is right for you. He even was calling her Miss Bridgerton again. Daphne says, stop calling me that. I thought we were friends. I don't care what anyone think. I'm capable of deciding the bounds of my own propriety. The Duke gonna say, friends? How foolish. We were never friends. Just convenient. A pretty diversion, but nothing more. I am done my business here in town, and I will be moving on, and I suggest you do the same. Miss Bridgerton, you'll be very happy with the prince. Oh, my God, I want to fight him. I hate when men mess up a beautiful day. Ugh. The Duke hurried his simple ass home, and he in a rush to leave London with the quickness, because that's how he deal with things. And Daphne, who is now lovesick, she went home and cried. I don't know about anyone else, but when you're young and you're lovesick, everything stops. You have to go home. And you know it's real when you lovesick and you ain't even give the man the cookies yet. I would get my brother on him. It will be on sight. Down at the theater, Sienna blew the roof off the building, and she had a visitor tonight, Anthony asked. Sienna said, now what is a Viscount Bridgerton seeking to escape tonight? Is it his sister ball? Does he want to avoid a family obligation? I don't think you know this, but I don't sit around and wait for you to come around. I have plans to attend to. Anthony asked, going to ask her with the Duke. Sienna said, my affairs are no longer your concern. You made that clear. Anthony asked, oh, so what you using the Duke to vex me? All right, bet. I got you. Sienna said, well, he is everything a woman could want, but he has not called on me. And I'm not surprised. The only reason you're down here is because you're jealous. And Anthony said, no, I'm not. I'm down here because I miss you. And like I thought that Anthony set this up, but no, he hasn't. Sienna done had enough, and she told him, look, your position remains the same, and so does mine. Your Viscount, your responsibilities will always remain to that title. You'll find a wife and start a family, and I shall be your jump off. Always in darkness, never in light. You have made promises to me that you can never keep, and I'm no longer playing the fool. Next up, mail alert. At the Feathertons for cousin Marina, Penelope rushed to give Marina her letter from Spain. Marina rips open the letter, started to read, and began to cry. Penelope is like, girl, what's wrong? Marina said he's pretending like it was nothing between us. He doesn't want nothing to do with me or my situation. He wants no parts of it. And we see that Lady Featherton and her maid forged a letter in Sir George's handwriting in order to fool Marina. And that's so mean. That's not right. Her maid lady asks her, well, what if the soldier come home? And Lady Featherton said, well, I can say with certainty he won't come to get her. She'll have to learn. She would have had to learn one way or another. We've done what's best. Now she's protected. Down at the dress boutique, Daphne is with her mama. Cressida Cowper is there with Lady Cowper. Lady Cowper says, it's a good thing Daphne is taken by the Duke. Otherwise, Cressida wouldn't have had a chance if Daphne was interested in him. We all know that Cressida has the fortune, but Daphne has the face. And this causes Daphne to go home and plan herself a reintroduction. Daphne said, I'm gonna show these bitches today. Y'all know how I feel. After a heartbreak, we gotta come back with a flex, you know? Daphne tells her maid lady, Rose, toss that dress. Get my silver and white dress. And you can fix my hair and them jewels and flowers that you like to do. Daphne said, I'm going to give them what they want. Lady Bridgerton gives Anthony a list of 14 eligible young ladies whom he should consider. Lady B asks Anthony, what time is it? I seen you check your father's watch. Such a lovely heirloom. Anthony like, huh? It's 1:15. Lady Bridgerton said, it's getting late, and we all know time is of the essence. I think Lady Bridgerton sees that her son is so ready to be a man and take over and take his father's place that he is not realizing that he doesn't have it all together himself. Maybe he should take a look at his own life and see how he can improve. Okay, it's another night at the ball. Which ball? I do not know. Cressida is over there on the dance floor with the prince, and Lady Cowper is practicing how to say Princession Cressetta. She trying to see how that rolls off her tongue. Cousin Marina isn't back in the swing of things. I guess she need that bounce back as well after being lovesick. Lady Dowdry says to the Duke, you have been reserved all evening. And the Duke said, I'm leaving England early. I'm sorry, Lady Dowdry. And Lady Dowdry said, you're foolish. Baby, Daphne came out that bitch and shut it down. I just love when a woman enters the room and commands all the attention without saying or doing a thing. It's an awesome feeling. If you don't know it, you should try it. Daphne came gliding down the steps with her fan. And the prince, he done left Cressida, and he asked Daphne for the first dance. He said, I must have your first dance. And everyone is watching, including the Duke. Daphne says to the prince, it will be my pleasure, your highness. Daphne pulls a trick out of her corny bag that her and the Duke laughed at. And she drops her fan so the prince can bend over and pick her fan up. And lastly, Lady Whistledown writes, could it be that the season's diamond is even more precious and rare than before? That's that bounce back, Lady Whistledown. It appears that this jewel is set to join the Queen's crown jewels. The Duke seemed rather tongue-tied, as Miss Bridgerton finally grown tired of waiting on his proposal. Or perhaps Daphne traded up. Why have a Duke when you can have a prince? I know that's right. And we see them dancing the night away. And that's where it ends. Thank you guys for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.